What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. There's a bunch of stuff to get into today. We got to talk about Fortnite because a mode is apparently showing up today in the game with an update. A mode that's been very anticipated because it's going to bring some stuff to the game that people have been really wanting in the game for quite a while. We're going to go over all of that. The UK sales charts came out, and Mario Tennis Aces seem to impress heavily, and Capcom is talking more about Switch stuff, except it might not be the stuff that you want to hear about, as it seems to have to do with the cloud. We're going to go over all of that, but first let's start with some smaller news. Cat Quest. It seems to be the next game in the series of indies that have found success that are now bringing out their game physically. Cat Quest is actually coming out on the Nintendo Switch as a physical game. It's going to come out in North America on September 11th, and it's going to come out in Europe a bit earlier, September 7th. Cat Quest, of course, came out on the Nintendo Switch. It was out on, I believe, cell phones or mobile devices before then, but it seemed to find a lot of success on the Switch. I actually bought it, played it, and I actually liked it a lot. It's a fun little action-adventure RPG, and it's not super expensive or anything. This coming out physically, though, is just another, really just showing how indie developers have found good success on the Nintendo Switch to the point where they can turn around, get their game rated for a physical release, and find their way onto store shelves. Seems to be more like something that those developers want to do just to see their game on store shelves. I feel like that's a pretty big accomplishment for some of these smaller indie developers, and it's pretty cool to see. Also today, a ton of games are coming out. And if you missed it, we have games like Nier Automata is coming out on the Xbox One X. We've actually talked about that quite a bit. It'll have all of the Xbox and X enhancements with 4K and better frame rates and everything. Luminous Remastered is coming out on all systems. There's PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and that's an awesome puzzle game, and it really is good. I would check that one out. Ys 8 is coming out on the Nintendo Switch today. The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is a free game. It kind of sets up the Life is Strange 2 game that's coming out later this year. That is also available free for download on the Xbox, the PS4, and the PC. And then the Mario Rabbids Donkey Kong DLC, also available today. If you were really still playing through the Mario Rabbids or you're just waiting for the DLC, you can go pick it up today. So there is a ton of stuff to go get now, and I believe De Blob is even out today on the Switch. Tons of stuff coming out, whether you're looking for Nier or you're looking for Luminous or you want to get into that DK DLC, a ton of stuff to go get. Also, GTA Online is now getting nightclubs. Now, they're going to be updating it, looks like, throughout July, and they will get them, and it seems like it's going to be one of those things where you can basically buy and you can build up a nightclub that'll, of course, let you hide all of your extracurricular activities that you'll be doing behind the scenes. But this is something that I see a lot of people talk about whenever these big updates show up for the Grand Theft Auto Online, which is still very popular. Obviously, shark cards sell constantly, and the game itself just continues to sell, mostly because they seem to package the game with shark cards, by the way, and that counts as a sale, so that seems to have helped them. They seem to have figured out a little loophole there to sell more copies to people, but a lot of people are still crying out for single-player DLC, and honestly, this would have been really cool to see added to single-player, where you can buy your own businesses like a nightclub and essentially hide your crime behind your nightclub, funnel money through it and everything. This would have been a really cool feature to have. Maybe build up your own hideout that's a nightclub and everything, and have a bunch of them and even make money through it. That could have been really neat. It is at least coming to Grand Theft Auto Online, more than likely, because it's just going to make them more money fairly easily, since you'll probably buy shark cards to then get more money to then get nightclubs and then make your nightclub better. So I get why they're doing it, but yeah, this would have been really cool to see single player DLC, and it just makes me more disappointed that we're probably not seeing a single player DLC for that. So there you go, though. If you're into the GTA Online, just keep an eye out. Throughout July, you should see nightclubs pop up, and keep an eye on Rockstar's blog. They will keep posting news about it. Now let's get into some of the bigger stuff, starting with the UK sales charts. These, of course, are the charts for last week, and these do cover Mario Tennis Aces' debut couple of days, right? It came out Friday, and I believe Saturday's also counted, so it should give it 2 days on the sales charts here, and you're going to see it here. And yes, Mario Tennis Aces is number 1 for its release week, which again is 2 days. We'll see how it carries over to the second week. These are the individual formats for the charts. God of War was number 2. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, actually number 3. Detroit Become Human, number 4. FIFA 18, number 5. FIFA generally sticks around in the top 10. That's on the PS4, by the way. Super Mario Odyssey, Fallout 4. FIFA 18, that one's on the Xbox One. PlayStation VR Worlds, which is a little odd to see that up there. And then Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, rounding out the top 10. So if you weren't sure about how Mario Tennis Aces would do in the sales charts, it's going to do well. That's the thing. Mario Tennis, while the one on the Wii U was pretty bad and it didn't do that well, Mario Tennis Aces is at least a competent game, and it's not missing a ton of content like the Wii U one was. And honestly, the GameCube one actually sold fairly well and was a good game. This is one that is coming out at a good time on the Switch. Obviously, the Switch is hot right now, and Mario Tennis Aces is a game that people generally enjoy, even if they don't like tennis or just sports games in general. It's just a fun game to get and play. And of course, has the motion controls where you can do the swing mode, has the online tournament. There are some issues I have with it, which I will talk about later on. I'm going to have a whole video about that after Nintendo sent that game over for me to check out. I'll be checking that one out as well in a video, so you can kind of check those opinions out later on. But it is a fun game. As you're seeing, people are buying into it. It is at the top of the charts here. We'll see what Media Creates does, and we'll also see where it places in the MPDs. Even though it is later on in the month, it could still place very high just because that initial spike of traffic when the game first came out. Either way, it seems to be off to a good start in the UK. Next up, let's talk about Dragon Quest XI on the Nintendo Switch. That version is not coming out for a while. We assume it's next year, 2019, as the other versions, the PS4 and the PC version, are coming out in September. We assume it's probably going to be a full year, and we'll probably see it in the fall or even holiday of 2019 on the Nintendo Switch. Right now, it seems that they're very, very focused to get these versions out. And honestly, with Square's track record with their other games, I don't blame them. Let's get these ones out first, just so they don't have to get delayed or something. But at the Square Enix General Assembly, we did hear that apparently the Switch version, I guess to make up for it, or at least make it enticing to people, will have its own content. Content that is not part of the PS4 version. It seems to be just exclusive content. It could also be maybe downloadable content that's really being lined up for later on in the year, and maybe they're also going to add a few other things. It could be a couple things. It could be costumes. It could be just straight up quests or content, or maybe stuff from the 3DS version, since the 3DS version has not been localized and doesn't seem like there are any plans to localize it, which, I mean, I guess if the Switch version's coming over and that's already a portable version, I guess you don't really need the 3DS version, but the 3DS version did kind of give a different take on the game. It had like that 16 or 8-bit mode, or the 3D mode. It was really cool to see that, but it looks like that version is not coming over as far as we can tell, at least at not anytime soon. The Switch version seems to be their portable version to come over, and the fact that they would package some kind of content that is not in the PS4 version makes a ton of sense, because honestly, people will probably buy it on the PS4 or the PC, and there will be less people to buy it if it's the exact same version, you know, a year later. Sure, some people will double dip, but not everyone. Now, if you throw something in that is specific to that Switch version, yeah, you might see a lot of people buy into it then just because of that, especially if they're really, really big Dragon Quest fans. Honestly, Dragon Quest fans are crazy, and they will buy it if it is some kind of exclusive content to that version. Either way, at least they're planning something around this release to make it interesting to people who maybe pick it up. Like, I'm probably going to get on the PS4 when it comes out this September, but I would look at the Switch version, to be honest, if I was a regular consumer, if it did have some kind of exclusive stuff. So yeah, look for something. We just got to figure out what it could be. A new quest line, new weapons, costumes, who knows, but at least something. Next up, let's talk about Capcom. Capcom is an interesting company when it comes to the Switch, when it comes to Nintendo in general. I guess just anyone really, but specifically Nintendo. Well, now we see with their ports with other games, or even just their weird weird development with something like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Well, we now see their interesting ideas around cloud-based gaming with the Nintendo Switch, right? Where they're doing things like Resident Evil 7 Cloud, which I don't think is a very good idea, because I think it defeats the purpose of the Switch, since you're not really leaving the house with that unless you have your entire town is covered in Wi-Fi or something. You're not really doing that. But according to the Wall Street Journal, a Capcom spokesperson told them that they are at least looking into the possibility of more cloud-based games. And this seems to have to do with the performance for Resident Evil 7 Cloud, which you don't actually buy the game, you rent the game. You rent time, right? You buy it like 6 months at a time or whatever, and then I guess you lose access to it. I don't really like that idea because obviously you buy a game, you should be able to keep it. And this is, of course, something that does not exist on your Switch. It streams, so you always need the internet. I don't really like the idea of Capcom thinking that this is a good idea going forward, or just something that they should be looking more and more into. I get that it's probably an experiment, and it probably wouldn't work too well anywhere other than Japan just right now. Maybe South Korea as well, with their internet being really good. I don't really, I don't see it working well on a mainstream level in the United States, or really anywhere else now I think about it, like I said, outside Japan. So I hope Capcom doesn't get too comfortable with this whole cloud-based thing. I would like to see them actually take a shot at doing something like porting a Resident Evil 7, right? Or porting a Monster Hunter World if they really want to try it. Iron Galaxy seems to really want to try it. We'll see if Capcom actually wants to let them, or even their Resident Evil games, but I don't like the idea of them getting too comfortable with the cloud, but according to the Wall Street Journal and their spokesperson, they are checking to see how well it does. And I guess if it really does do well in Japan, they might look into doing more cloud-based games. I don't know about that. It works well with multiplayer games, like obviously Phantasy Star Online 2. It work with that. It works with Dragon Quest X, because those are massive multiplayer games. If you're not connected to the internet, you're not playing it anyway. So that makes sense. But single player games, I don't know about that. Next up, let's talk a bit about Labo. It's actually been a while since we've really talked about Labo at all, now I think about it. Now, nothing's really happened too much since they came out, and people built them and did some cool stuff, and then it kind of fell out of the news, and we never really saw Nintendo kind of take the Labo sets and in any way work them into any of their newer games, like Mario, for example, right? We don't see any Mario around it. We don't see any of their characters, except now. See, they put out on Twitter and they put on YouTube a whole trailer showing that the new Labo kit, where it has like the car that you can use, now it works with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can actually put your Switch in it like you would when you're doing the RC, or just the regular car driving part. And now it works with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, almost like you're steering around, you're driving. And this is a cool idea. Now, I've been thinking about other ways that they could use this, of course, but the fact that they took it and put it into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and it's a free download update, by the way. Basically, you just update Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and boom, you're off and running. This is a neat idea. I like it a lot, and I would like to see them take the Labo kits and just work them into more of their games, right? I'm sure there's a lot of stuff they could do. I would also like to see them give permission to other companies to kind of come in and use the Labo kits for other things as well in their games, like, say, maybe Sega does like their Sega Bass Fishing. I talked about this before. And they use the Labo fishing rod for that. That would be really cool as an optional thing, of course. But they could be like, hey, if you have that Labo fishing rod and you already built it, you can use it in Sega, Bass Fishing, for example. There's a lot of things they could do, and I'm sure people get really creative with it. We've seen some other companies and other games, rhythm-based games, even using the piano to kind of work their game. So I would like to see them do that. This seems like a cool start. And it's just going to see if they want to do anything else with it going forward. But hey, this kind of came out of nowhere, so I guess you never know. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. But hey, if you have Labo and you have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, yeah, go ahead and fire it up and drop it in the steering wheel and everything, and you can play some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with that. And our last bit of news, let's talk about Fortnite Playground Mode, because this is an update that they told us about last month, and people were looking at it like, oh, that sounds really cool, but what is it exactly? And they kind of went on and talked about it a bit. Playground appears to be a place that you can go into with a squad of people, and you can do things like practice, just mess around, build stuff. It seems literally like it's the playground. They have friendly fires turned on, and you can respawn. Now, this appears to be an entire mode that is being added in today in an update. There's an update scheduled for today, and everyone is pretty much looking at that saying, okay, this is probably when Playground is showing up, especially since they added into the news section. More than likely, today at some point, the update will fire, and then you'll be able to sign in. You and a squad can go into Playground, or I guess just you, and you can pretty much practice it. That is the thing that a lot of people wanted. Or you can build. That's the other thing that people have been asking for a lot as well. See, when you're playing Fortnite, you're always at risk of just being, well, wiped out, just like that, right? Maybe you are trying to collect a lot of, wood or stone or whatnot, and you want to build an entire monument or something. It's hard to do that when you're playing normally. This mode appears to be hey, just jump in, have fun, build stuff, maybe learn how to use a certain weapon or learn how to build, just jump around and everything, and you and a squad can kind of come up with tactics and stuff. That seems to be the idea of this, and I think it's a good mode. As far as we can tell though, it's a limited time only mode. I think this is a mode that should stick around like forever, because then you can practice stuff, not have to jump into a free-for-all or a squad-based or a 20v20v20v20 and do that way. I like the idea of practice. I think Fortnite should have had this type of mode from the start. Seriously, they're going to have like ammo and chests and everything dropping all over the place. It seems like a cool mode. It's one that I would check out. Just try to get better at building, because I'm still not there yet with the building. But look out today at some point. You should see it pop up, and you can jump in and I guess just try out different things in playground mode. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is this Fortnite playground mode. Maybe you like the idea of it. Maybe you've been waiting for something like this so you can try to get better at different things, whether it's shooting or building or just tactics. Let me know if that's a mode that you are very interested in. Also, what do you think of Mario Tennis Aces jumping to the top of that UK sales chart? Are you surprised, or were you expecting it? Because it's a pretty fun series, the Mario Tennis series is, and we're missing out on the one on the Wii U because it just wasn't very good, and a lot of people didn't buy the Wii U. This seems to be a nice little rebirth for that game series, and well, at least in the UK so far, it's doing pretty good. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.